Welcome to the Twist Out Cancer podcast, which delves into the emotional journeys of those touched by cancer, offering a platform for survivors, caregivers, previvors, and loved ones to share their experiences. Through intimate conversations, this podcast explores the power of creativity and connection in navigating the challenges of cancer. Guests will discuss the transformative impact of Twist Out Cancer's unique programs and highlight the resilience of the human spirit. We're so happy you're here. Let's get into it.
Okay, hi there, and welcome to Twist Out Cancer's podcast featuring Brushes with Cancer Spotlights. My name is August Spree, my pronouns are she, her, and today we are speaking with inspiration Merton Briggs in Delaware and artist Matthew Eckerle in Kentucky, who are matched in the Brushes with Cancer Winter 2025 program. We will talk about their involvement with Twist Out Cancer, how they became participants in the program, how their connection developed, and what they continue to carry with them from their experience together. Welcome, Merton and Matt. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Okay, so Mert, if I can start with you, which I love that, by the way. Mert, it's like, I love it as a nickname. Can you start by letting me know how you identify within the cancer community and then share a little bit about your experience with cancer?
Certainly. So I am a survivor and thriver of multiple myeloma diagnosis from 10 years ago. I was diagnosed on November 5th, 2014. I was given 9 months to 2 years to live if I was lucky, per the doctor saying, at which I told the doctor that I didn't agree with that and needed a 40-year plan because I had life to live and love to give.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So a little over 10 years ago.
Yep. And this March 30th, I will celebrate 8 years in complete molecular remission.
Wow. Well, what an applause for that. Yeah, that's incredible.
Thank you.
So, Matt, why don't you share a little bit about your journey to this program and why you started to get involved? I know that you work in mixed media and
Yes.
you were preferred by one of our seasoned artists, I think.
Yeah, long story short, I played a little band, and the place we were playing, this person was sitting in the place, just hanging out. I started a conversation. We're both artists. She was on her way, I think, from the event last year, and just happened to be in the same place. And she told me about it, and I was floored. My mother had cancer, and so I have a connection like through that. And I was like, that's just something that I'm, I'm passionate about art. And then hearing about it through her, immediately had to sign up and wanted to be able. It's an absolute honor to be a part of this program.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so you're an artist on multiple levels.
Yes.
You're a musician as well.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that. Yeah.
So is art just like a beautiful hobby for you, or is it something that you're focused on? I know you're also a teacher.
Yes, that's pretty much surrounds my entire life. I'm an art teacher. I teach high school art. I work art, so pretty much my days I'll teach art all day long. Then I'll go home and kind of hit the studio at night on most nights, some nights, and put a couple extra hours in on a weekend. Summertime, I teach art in the summertime, and I work on art in the summer too. So yeah, it's pretty much all encompassing, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, okay. That's amazing. Okay, and Mert, so after your diagnosis and sort of pushing back to that that timeline that they gave you originally, what was your experience like before you got to our program within the cancer community?
So one of the biggest things that I experienced at my diagnosis and Matt was able to capture in his beautiful piece of art was that, and as crazy as this sounds, I'd never experienced love in the way that I did when I was diagnosed. So much so, I guess the crazy part would be is that if I had known love in the depths that I would receive, I would have asked for my diagnosis sooner. That's how much love I got. And so as a result, my theory was always the people that poured themselves into me. It was essential once I got well because I always knew, I was going to get to where I needed to be. And so many people poured their love into me, and it was imperative for me to give back. And so one of the first things that I did when I got well was I started to volunteer for LLS. And I am a First Connection LLS volunteer, so that when people are newly diagnosed, I am paired with those that are diagnosed with multiple myeloma to help them through their journey.
Wow. Here you are. I did not bring tissues. That's so beautiful, though. So incredible. What is LLS? I don't think I'm familiar. I know
So,
MMD.
yeah, LLS is the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society.
Right. Yes.
And so the way I got in touch with them is they offered financial aid for when I was going through cancer. And so I took advantage of it because I had to do over 500 hours of chemo. So it would help offset costs during the treatment phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result, I also participated in the Light the Nights that they have.
Yeah.
I was a guest speaker to start that, and then I got involved with volunteering, helping newly diagnosed individuals.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I'm just like absorbing all of that. That's incredible. And that's the financial burden is a really big concern for a lot of people who are going through a diagnosis and treatment. So I'm glad that you had that support.
Yes, me too.
How did you find out about brushes with cancer?
So when I got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, one of the first things I did is I looked into support groups. I figured, this is my new track forward and I was going to embrace it, not necessarily the diagnosis or the prognosis. So I went to a support group meeting, and in that support group meeting, I met a young man by the name of Mike Herman. And became friends. We would get treatment together at the Helen Graham Center. And right before at the end of the summer, I guess he had reached out to me and sent me a DM and said, "Hey, there's this program called Twist Out Cancer. And I think, based on your love for art, that this might be something you would be interested in." So I looked it up, filled out the application, and here we are.
Yay. I know. And, every email that I get from Matt is just like, it's so beautiful. Like, I could tell that both of you connected so well, which just makes my heart smile after you matched, because Matt was just like, Mert and I are talking about this, or, whatever communication I had just sounded so like positive and upbeat. So I appreciate that, like knowing that you were able to really connect that well. So tell me, this is a long distance match. So tell me how, after you were matched, like, how did the initial connection go, and like when you first met one another via email or however it was, let me know how that went.
Go ahead, Matt. You want?
Yeah, I would love to. Well, I got the email.
Awesome.
I think like if you looked at my email box, I think you got the initial email that said you were matched, and right above it, Merton like reached out immediately, and I was just fired up. I was so excited to see the emails are like that close. Like I was excited to get started, and then it looked like he was excited to get started. We kind of went back and forth through email, set up a time to talk. And like you were talking about needing tissues earlier, like I set up shop on my deck. He called and I just sat and listened. I didn't know how long it would take, but he just talked and kept telling me a story. It was just an amazing story. And I think we ended up talking about an hour and a half, 2 hours that night.
Wow.
I mean, it was just like, I think I hung up and told my wife, and I was like, there's like moments in your life where you're one way up until this happens, and then you're a different person after. And that was like one of those conversations where I was like, I was one way, and then I hear this story and pulling, like he's talking about all the love that he received. He looking at his shirt, "The life to live, love to give." I'm like, man, this is a hero of mine immediately. And it was just amazing to get a chance to talk to him and hear a story, and kind of just sit back at the end of it and just think about it and reflect on it. And I took notes like crazy, and like he told the story, and then I went back and reviewed the story a couple times, and I just kept thinking like, this is an amazing what I'm hearing, and this person is just an amazing positive person. That it was such a gift to be just on the other end of that phone for that evening, man. It was amazing. But yeah, since then we've been keep in touch here and there, and social media and texting and things like that. It's been fantastic. Yes.
Amazing. Do you have anything to add, Mert?
Yeah, well, like Matt said, as soon as we got our emails about connections, we both started firing off to one another, exchanged personal information, and we were texting one another. And like Matt said, we set up some time so I could tell him my story, and he listened intently and took wonderful notes, because he then shot me over. He told me how he came to his medium for his artwork, and the piece that he's rendered and submitted. And if it's okay, Matt, he had shared with me in regards to his father, and the way he came to this art form and medium was he was with his dad and he was looking at the monitor and just praying for one more beat across the thing. So that's how he came to that medium that he did, which was very inspiring to me. Then he came back and he said, listen, here's what my idea is. He's like, I need you to put colors to all these things that I picked up on your story.
Wow.
He's like, I need you to put colors to it. And then we're going to, he said, then I'm going to go to work and do what I do. So I ended up talking to everyone that was in the notes that I identified with and got them to relate to me colors that were their favorite colors, things of that nature. And then things that just stuck out to me in regards to those moments and periods in time.
Wow. Okay, we're going to talk about the piece in a
All right.
minute. But what I do want to go back to is what you said, Matt, about like being a different person.
Mhm.
I fully relate to that. And I think that that's really relatable to a lot of people in the cancer community as well, because I've heard often so many different stories and different approaches and different moments when you hear those words. But for everyone, it seems there is a very clear before and after. There is life before you've heard those words, and then there is life after. So when you're saying that that's what happened to you and listening to Mert's story, that's also very relatable to anyone who's been through it themselves, that you're forever changed. And it's just, that really resonated with me. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mert, do you feel like this experience helped you process your cancer journey further, or did anything unexpected come up for you?
I've, for probably the first 6 years, my everyday existence had to do with cancer. And it didn't matter day in, day out, whether it was treatment, talking to someone. And as a survivor, you kind of get burned out on it. But I also enjoy telling my story because I know that there's people out there that need to hear it. And so anytime I get an opportunity to speak to somebody and share it, I love to talk about it. Because again, I myself, one of the beautiful things of my diagnosis, and I tell people all the time, I was like, I was blessed with my cancer diagnosis because I didn't realize I was just existing before. And
Yeah.
once I got cancer and I heard those words that I didn't ask for, of course, the doctor just blurted them out. It changes you and your perspective, you know what I mean? And being hospitalized, being back in the world and surrounded by those I love, and it just made a big difference in my life. It changed it for the better, is what I say. Because again, as you see the shirt I have, the life to live, love to give.
Yeah.
When I was told that that I was only had 9 months to 2 years to live, I told the doctor, I said, no. That doesn't work for me. I said, I need a 40-year plan, doc. And she had come in and she had a binder. And I told her, I said, open that binder and show me that 40-year plan. And she looked at me and she said, Mert, I know this is pretty heavy stuff and you might need some time to process. And I told her, I said, doc, I didn't come in here because my ears were broke or my brain wasn't functioning. I said, I know why. I've got this diagnosis and I'm fine. It's the prognosis that I can't live with. I was like, and I told her, and she said, well, unfortunately, she said, your cancer is incurable. It is rare and aggressive. And I said, I'll tell you what, then we'll make you famous because I plan on being the first person cured from this cancer. And so again, they prefaced it to me that, you could live a long time with us. I said, no. I can't be cured if I have cancer. I was like, so that will never work for me. And that's how it happens.
Oh my gosh, Mert, what?
I see, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you're in a unique position too, because it sounds like you're able to share your story quite often. And some people don't have that, as a part of their regular day to day, but that's wow. I think I can relate to the part where you said before you were just existing, because that's part of my story too. I was 27, I was 8 months pregnant when I was diagnosed, and I feel like the whole world screeched to a halt, in focusing on what needed to be done to get through to like have my baby, and then also get through, what I needed to do for the cancer. Afterwards, I took a step back and was like, wait a minute, I don't think I chose any of this. I think I just kind of happened into it. So I literally changed my whole entire life. I got divorced, I moved, I went into a new career, or I went back to school. Every single thing about my life changed after I came through that, and in all positive and necessary ways. So I can relate to that, just leaning into your life, after you hear those words. So, whew, okay.
I told you.
I know. So now that we are close to the end of the program, next week is the art exhibition. What are 2 things that each of you will be taking away from this experience?
I'll start. That's cool. One, I mean, like, it sounds cheeseball, but man, this brand new friendship that I've got with Merton is like, if that's all, that's enough right there for me. So that was I mean, this has been fantastic. Get a chance to talk to you guys, talk to Mert, and have this experience. It's been amazing. And I think I sent you a couple emails about this. Regretfully, I can't get to the show, but like when I was making this piece, I've got a whole body of these types of works, and it mean an awful lot to me. As Mert was saying, like it's based off of like my dad's pulse and watching his pulse in the ICU. And you don't realize how important each pulse is until you're praying for that next pulse and that next breath. So like from that, when I was sitting down with this specific like program to make this piece and Mert's story, how it relates back to his cancer entire story in those, like you said, 6 years. My mom had cancer, and as I was making this piece, I was able to, as I'm painting, as I'm sculpting, as I'm sanding, as I'm assembling, I'm spending that time, not just with the artwork, not just with this idea, but also with my mom. And like, it's taken me back to those days and just getting the chance to kind of reflect on her and all that she's done for me like, I've got that. And so every time I kind of sit down, when I'm sitting down making a piece of artwork, she's always kind of like in the back of my mind. My dad's always in the back of my mind. So I'm normally in the studio just kind of making stuff, but now it seems like I've got a little bit of a little bit more of a special purpose behind it because of this situation. So I'll carry the friendship with Mert forever, and then this like experience kind of elevates the act. I'm not just making a piece of piece of artwork to hang on a wall. There's a story behind it. There's a connection to it. There, even for me. So hopefully for Mert seeing that as well for the piece that's dedicated to him. But like for me, there's some purpose and some the idea of making it has now been elevated for forever, primarily based on this program. So thank you.
Wow. Okay, Mert.
Yeah, so obviously I'll double down on what Matt said. Is number one is creating a friendship that you can cultivate and grow with for the future. I'm really looking forward to that. The experience has been amazing. We hit it off right away, and I'm sad because I was looking forward to being able to meet him personally, but I know that day will come and it'll be epic.
Yes, sir.
The second piece would be is that, with the program that you have, is that that someone will, because even if it touches one person and it gives them the hope and belief, number one is to believe. I try to tell people all the time, it's just, you have to believe, believe it can be done, because that's what I did. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not believe in self and believe that my goals were achievable, regardless of whatever the medical journey said. I was more than just a number and a case number. I was a human being with, that just was not willing to succumb to whatever that journal said was my outcome. And so if it touches one person and gives them the hope and belief that they too can get to where they want to be, that's what's most important to me, is touching and helping those in the trenches, as I say, to get to that thriving state.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Okay, let's talk about the art. Matt, can you explain the piece to us? So I know we don't have a photo because I have the art here in Chicago and we'll be looking at it in person next week, but can you explain the piece and then how you came to that idea and developed it?
Yeah, I mean, the idea kind of came from, like, as I was saying before, I was sitting like in my dad's ICU, in the ICU where my dad was, and I was watching his pulse kind of rise. And like I said, you don't know how important, how essential each breath is until you're like sitting and kind of praying and hoping for that next one. And I think I kind of sat back on that and I was like, man, it's really a shame that it took me to get to this, like to this point, this kind of drastic situation where my dad's in the ICU, to think about how important every second, every person, every interaction with a person, everything, every moment in your day is, and how essential it is, whether it's, incredibly important or exciting or sad or mundane. For me, like the birth of my daughter and the marrying my wife, are just incredible highlights. Losing my mom and losing my dad were, upsetting. Going to my favorite little coffee shop and grabbing a chai tea and, before school. Those are all like parts of my day and parts of my life. And those are essential parts. And if you take one of them away, it's not complete. Whether I would love to have my parents back things like that. That's still, all those events kind of made me who I am. So taking those like moments and giving, kind of assigning a color to them and making kind of this visual pulse, I guess, is in my artwork, this visual pulse, each piece is important. And then I sat down with Mert, and Mert gave me all these stories, and he told me about these events, going fishing, and all these beautiful people in his life, and all these moments, inspirational, like going fishing, kind of like, a normal activity for Mert, and then finding out about cancer, and then these people that helped lift him up, and receiving gifts from family members and things like that. So we assigned each color. So it's partially, it's for Mert, of course, and it's about Mert's life, but it's also a chance to think back and remember and celebrate all those people, all those individuals, all those things that kind of make up what Mert's story is. For example, and I don't know if you can see this, but I've got the kind of a similar artwork tattooed on my arm, and I'll ask people, family members, to give me a color, and they will. And it hit me when my niece came over and looked at my arm, and she was able to point directly to my arm and say, "Oh, that's my color." I'm like, "Yes, exactly. That's you." And in a way, that's me saying, "You are that important to me that I want to put you on here forever." So like in part, and like what Mert was talking about, part of it is also asking those people, like, here's why I need your favorite color, because you've been instrumental in my life. Whenever I ask somebody, I make sure that I let them know, like I have seen you brought to your knees and come back. And that's what makes you incredibly special to me. Or when I was down, you helped pick me up, and that's what makes you special to me. I've got family members, people I've taught with, students on here, all kinds of different folks. So just the idea that taking Mert's story, giving each little part, whether it was mundane, whether it was joyful, whether it was sad, giving it a color, putting it together in the timeline. One, for me, it's a nice way to like visually show Mert's story. But what my hopes for Mert is he's able to show it to his friends, his family members. Oh, there you are right there. See, you're on this piece of artwork. This is that you made this piece. You helped make me who I am. And that's kind of like the goal behind the work.
So it was collaborative in that way, where Mert, you were providing the story, like the colors for the story, and then you were putting them into the piece. Wow. I'm just like blown away. I can't wait to see this piece in person next week. It's like Christmas for us, the staff. It's all been shipped to one place. And so next week, on the day of the event, we're going to unpack everything. And like, really, honestly, some of our like board members and other folks, we always invite them to come and help if they'd like to, because that's like such a special moment for us to unpack these pieces and open them, and having read the statements and stories that you sent in to be able to then see what came of it. So incredible journey. Thank you both for being willing to share. And I really hope that you're able to come together in person soon and meet one another, because this is amazing energy. I love this.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Twist Out Cancer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll catch you next time.